got some feedback. It sounds like it's stopped now.
Your output, the speaker on your end, so it's not too loud. Sometimes there's output, or you kind of create.
All right, we are started now. Billy, I'm going to pass it off to you, and I'm going to mute and go off screen. So have a great time, have fun, and we'll see you soon.
Sounds good. Well, thanks for joining, everybody. Appreciate it. My name is Billy Grant. I work with the Harvard Tides Capital team in downtown Hartford, so financial planning and wealth management. I'm going to be moderating the group here. Obviously, we want this to be interactive, so for folks who are joining in, let us know what questions you have, what you want to hear. If there's a story that one of the panelists has talked about that you want them to unpack a little bit more, definitely fire away those questions. And same thing with panelists. You have questions for each other. Feel free to ask and engage in the conversation that way. Bill had mentioned we're still waiting for one more to join, but I guess why don't we start for right now with just quick introductions from each of you, Jessica and Dan. And so I guess what I would ask is who you are, what you do. You obviously won an award from Connecticut Entrepreneurs at some point. So tell us about that, when that was, what that award was for. We'll start with the ladies first. Jessica, why don't you lead us off?
Great, so thank you. So I am Jessica Reese. I am here at what is a new extension of my business. So I own Reese Learning Center, where we do one-on-one academic support, not just tutoring, but we be independent and build their confidence and things of that nature. And then this location here was added just over a year ago when we were starting classes and workshops, enrichment-based things. So this is called the classroom, or the Reese Learning Center classroom. And we host some fun events here, like paint nights. This is a location where we'll do our American Sign Language classes in the future. And we also have a here.
Awesome. I think you cut out a little bit, Daniel. Was she?
Oh.
Yeah, cut out a little at the end.
Sorry about that. So this is the classroom, and I was just saying we do paint nights, and this is where our ASL classes will be. And then we are also open as a gift shop, holding or selling a line of locally artisan-made goods. And then as far as the Entrepreneur Awards, I found out about that in 2017. We won 2 awards, and each year since as well, we've also been awarded, with the exception of last year, I think. But yeah, awards for Entrepreneur Main Street, Education, and Venture.
Awesome. That's quite a resume. Congrats to you. Dan, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Daniel Flynn. I own DRF Consulting, which is a brewery consulting business. So I basically manage all things financial for breweries in Connecticut. I won this award last year, just one for me, and it was the Main Street Award, which I think was the perfect fit because, my whole business is built on supporting small businesses and local businesses. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Well, appreciate the intros. So again, the topic that we have here is success on Main Street, and so when I first started thinking about it, it could mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, depending on the type of your business. You're operating, what position in your business, whether you just started, whether you're in a scaling stage. So I guess I'll start the conversation just by asking, I guess, what does success mean for your business? We'll start with Jessica.
So I really define the success here just on a one-by-one individual basis. So every time I have a client return to us and say that we've done something to impact their child, from, whether it's they finally raised their hand in class to making honor roll or anything in between, kind of the metric for me of, okay, keep going. And the word of mouth and more people just their fellow parents in the schools and things like that, who have the confidence and ability to expand last year, was really a big sign for me. Community. We have a great relationship with the other small businesses in the area as well. Just a huge support system here. I'm in New Milford, in the downtown part of New Milford here, and just the sense of community and having people cheer us on. So I hope that doesn't sound too like campy, but just feeling like a sense of impact on my community is huge for me.
Sure. Well, no, I mean, I think that's a great point. And that's kind of the purpose of the question, right? I think the obvious way to define success is monetary, but in a lot of businesses, that's not actually the metric that leads to the monetary. If all you focus on is the dollar, you might actually not achieve the dollar result that you want. And so you have to set other goals. So I think that's awesome. How about you, Daniel?
Sure. So success, I think about this sort of in two different ways. The first way is a lot of my business is based on compliance and regulation in the brewing industry. And I judge my success there as if we can get things done in the industry and improve the environment for breweries so the brewing industry can grow in general. That's what I feel like the mission statement of my business is to help as many breweries be compliant, and therefore, we're stronger when we're all working together and we have the state behind us. So that would be the first avenue of the way I see success for my business. And then sort of on the other end, success for me personally in my business is when I can step away a little bit. So I would still say I'm in the infancy stages of my business. So I'm just over 4 years now, and I've never had anybody work for me. So it's just me doing all the work. So hopefully one day soon I can get to a point where I can hire people to do the work for me, and I can step back a little bit and not work as much. So those are the two sort of different versions of success in my eyes.
Sure. Now, do you strictly work with breweries, or do you work with wineries or other spirits? Or
So I actually work with a wide range of different small businesses, but my focus is on breweries. So if
Gotcha.
I would say 75% of my small business clients are Connecticut small breweries.
Awesome. And it's a great niche. It's a specific, a specific class which allows people to refer to you.
Yes.
And it's obviously a growing industry, right? I mean, we're seeing breweries pop up left and right, which, if going by your definition of success is, opening up those doors for the breweries. I don't know much about your business, but I've seen that happen in the state of Connecticut. So it sounds like you're being successful.
Yeah, I like to think so.
So another question I have for you guys.
Say that again?
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask if you work with any down here in the northwest corner.
I missed that again. I'm sorry. It's a little.
Sorry,
I think she said
I think
she
I'm
asked
on a
if
delay.
I think you
I
said
was just
north. I
curious
think you said
if
northwest
you work
corner.
with any down here in the northwest corner, or like what parts?
I do. So I have a stronghold on the northwest corner. I have about 5 or 6 breweries that I work with up there. So yes, I have spent some time up there.
Nice.
Great.
So for you guys, obviously, you mentioned it specifically, Daniel, being kind of still in the infancy stages of your business. But one of the things that's a key success for you is getting to a spot where you can step away, where the business is not just in your head; it's operational, even if something had happened to you. And so for a lot of business, as you start to grow, that becomes a problem, right? How do you get what's the process that you've got transferable to somebody else or to a team? So how does success start to change as you start to grow your business? And does that definition start to evolve? I guess we'll start with you, Dan.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good question, and I can't say I figured it out yet, to be honest with you. Obviously, towards the beginning stages of a business, it's all focused on growth and sort of learning. You know, I learned along the way, you know, mistakes, whereas taking on, you know, in the beginning stage of your business, you maybe do some work with some people that maybe you shouldn't have, and just in an effort to increase cash flow or whatever. And now as you grow your business, you can sort of fine tune more and tailor your marketing. But yeah, that's a good question. I think getting to the point where I can hire somebody will actually give me more time to grow the business rather than being bogged down by all the day-to-day work. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, and I think that's great. And, you know, as you start to grow, hopefully we'll be able to watch that success come to fruition and get a little extra PTO time squeezed in there.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I won't hold my breath, I guess. Jess, how about you?
Can you say your question one more time for me, please?
Yeah, so the question is, you know, through the growth of a company, how does success or the definition of success change? You know, when you first start your organization, you have one definition. A couple of years in, you might have another. 10 years in, you might have another. How has that changed for you so far? And how do you project that it might continue to change, or maybe not?
Yeah, so I really do have to echo what Daniel's saying about kind of putting a lot in the hands of others at this stage. I'm kind of at a crossroads with that right now. So I've been so fortunate to have the same staff since I started my business a little over 7 years ago, which I think having, you know, part-time workers and being able to say that I haven't had turnover and things like that is pretty huge. But the pandemic has changed that a little bit for me. And I am faced with hiring right now. And that's very difficult for me just because I haven't had to. And we've had such a close-knit group here. It's a matter of finding the time to start training other people to do the things that a well-oiled machine just knows to do at this point. I'm finding that a little bit difficult as like a personal growth thing. But I think it's important to start bringing in new perspectives and to hand off some of the workload and my vision to other people that I can have them take it over. I think also just the reach of you know, being a known business now and seeing that I don't know, it's been invaluable to just have people say, oh, well, we've known about you for years, or you know, reputation and things like that. That's huge for me, and I appreciate it. So I feel like I didn't quite answer your question to the best of my ability there, but that's kind of where I'm at with this crossroads currently.
Well, I mean, I think you answered it perfectly. I mean, you know, to be able to do your business successfully is one objective, right? So you could define success as me being able to create a comfortable environment for students, an enjoyable, learnable process where they get maybe that aha moment. But to be able to achieve success long term, you need to be able to translate that to somebody else. And that same goes true for Daniel. So you could find success as an individual, but to continue to scale your company, that success might turn into more of a coaching and not actually maybe bringing on the new financial client or the new brewery, but bringing in somebody that can do that as well.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to pivot to my next question here, which is a timely topic and hopefully one that not everybody is exhausted of at this point. But obviously with the COVID-19 pandemic, how does that start to change success and how you are going to get on track for your goals with everything that's changed so far? We'll start with you, Dan.
Sure. So as you can imagine, the pandemic was very hard on my clients and therefore very hard on me. I remember, I forget what the date was, March 14th or whatever of last year, when they announced that all restaurants, which obviously includes breweries, had to be shut down. I got 5 or 6 phone calls that weekend that said, we can't pay for your services anymore. And there was a time of about a couple of weeks there where I thought, all right, this is it. This is the end of my business. So that was really scary, but happy to say that the fall of last year, all those clients were back with DRF Consulting. So so it was the impact was sudden and it was obviously tough for cash flow purposes on my end. And then it sort of changes when you're in a client relationship business and all of your clients are simultaneously going through something like this. You kind of have to be a consultant, a therapist, a financial advisor, all of these things, and remain optimistic. I'm sure, Billy, you can relate to this, and remain optimistic when, it's really out of the hands of the business owners at that point. It's up to the state demand, it's up to the healthcare and systems and all of that. So yeah, COVID-19 was really bad for my business, but I've fully recovered. That's about it.
Nice. Well, hey, that's all you can ask. 1 step back, 2 steps forward, right?
Yeah.
Jessica, how about you? I mean, we know in the education system a lot has been shaken up. Specifically, what are some changes you guys are making to try to stay competitive in this environment?
Yeah, so we quickly switched our in-person one-on-one services to digital first hit, which has been great. We still offer that as an option now, not only out of necessity, just also to reach other students. I've been able to maintain a student that moved to Virginia during the pandemic because now I can work with her easily online, which is wonderful. We also, I had entertained the idea of like pod services, which a lot of kids are doing. Like, this is my pod, and I only work with these people, and I explored that for a while, but ultimately decided that I wanted to maintain the heart of what we do as one-on-one services, and it turned out that was completely a fine way to go because we continued to bring on new clients and maintain the vast majority of our existing clients. So that is a positive way that things have changed, is now we will continue to offer digital services. One-on-one in person is always going to be the preference, but now, we can reach a wider range of students. Beyond that,
We're losing you a little bit here.
Able to work.
Need to get her some better Wi-Fi. All
right, Wi-Fi. Hopefully, though.
Yes, I lost that last little bit there, but But I mean, it sounds like, with the virtual world becoming a normal thing.
So I switched my Wi-Fi.
There we go. Hopefully that works.
Okay.
It looks good right now.
Well, that's better.
Okay, great. So I don't know the last thing that came through, but one of the big impacts was losing a staff member due to her health issues. And she was like the sole instructor for ASL classes here. So I haven't been able to offer those since the pandemic hit. Even digitally, just because of a host of reasons. Another longtime staff member is being incredibly cautious due to family that he lives with that is severely compromised as well. And so that's been an adjustment. I went from an extremely small team of 4 people down to, 2. And now I've just hired somebody else and partnered with somebody else. So I'm back at 4, but it's when you have such a small staff to begin with that you feel every day that they're off or anything like that. And now the pandemic has been this long thing. And other than that, I opened this space about 10 days before the pandemic hit as a group event space.
Wow.
So that was tough. I signed a new lease. In February, I, made this whole space and planned what we were going to do, and then pandemic came in and none of it happened. And it's been very difficult to build awareness of this extension of what we're doing, just because we can't really offer a lot. So it's been a trial, and I'm really hoping that now with the vaccine and the nice weather again, the fact that we are on street level in this main street of our town, that will help do things. So yeah, I mean, that knowledge of knowing, hey, you're going to have to put this all on hold for at least a year. I might have done some things differently, but we're here and I love this new space and still getting to do what I do around the corner, tutoring my students.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all know that there's been so many businesses that have struggled throughout this pandemic. You signing on a lease right before the pandemic, Daniel working directly in the beverage and food service industry obviously had a huge impact. But being able to stay nimble, adjust your definition of success, adjust a little bit of your target market. For you, Jessica, being able to now work with people internationally, or not maybe internationally, but across the certainly, that changes your definition of success, because before it was maybe just people located within a 50-mile radius or something much more narrowed down. And so sometimes it takes an unforeseen event to cause a business to be reactive. But I think that's the definition of a true successful business in the long term, is one that can be reactive, can be nimble. And as you guys as leaders, that's where you come in, not just necessarily being on the front lines, working with students, being with, your business owners, but also looking at the business from a holistic point of view, and looking at that trajectory. So one question I have is, how do you guys track success? One thing that's important in my field is making sure that we have, and sometimes it takes time out of my day to track my metrics, which in the beginning seemed like a waste of time, but I've actually come to really enjoy that process of measuring my success so that I can learn what stuff is working and what stuff's not working. Are there some things that you guys do to measure your success? We'll start with you, Daniel.
Sure. Well, as an accountant, I do a lot of measuring and numbers. So
Sure.
I'm obviously very focused on that from an accounting perspective. But also, as Jessica had mentioned, the reach. So you can judge it on the books by how your business is growing on the books, but it's also maybe not as important, but definitely important for me is how my reputation is growing in the industry, and getting recognized for awards like this and other, other metrics to measure success are also important. But to be completely honest, for me, it's from an accounting perspective, it's, your month over month revenue increases on my end, or your bottom line increases on my end. That's how I measure the success and growth of my business most frequently. But like I said, I also do pay attention to, the image and the reputation out in the marketplace.
Yeah, and I mean, one comes before the other. Kind of,
right, exactly.
You're measuring the activity and then measuring the results, which hopefully helps you draw some parallels too. How about you, Jessica?
I think. Sorry, can you just remind me of your question? I just want to make sure I'm on the right track.
Yeah, no problem. So just talking about measuring success, are there things that you guys do to measure success, whether it's tracking your engagement on social media, likes and things like that, or tracking the number of students coming in, or maybe where a student comes from? I know a thing that people often do, or at least what I do, if I get somebody who's referred to me, ask them, where did you hear about me? That way I can kind of track which avenues of my marketing are working and which ones are not. Are you guys doing things like that?
So I've just started working with someone to help build our reach on social media and actually track things, because aside from word of mouth, social media is really how we do all of our reach. I mean, we have a great website, but social media is really how people come to us as well. So I am on the cusp of that. I'm excited to see what those numbers are like and how we can increase them. Also, I would agree that being asked to participate in something like this is a huge indicator of changed success and how things have evolved a bit. And I think one of the biggest things that helps me track things is how little I am doubting myself. I think imposter syndrome is a very real thing for a lot of business owners or successful people in general. And that was a daily thing for me for a really, really long time. I have no idea what I'm doing, and like, why are people giving me their kids, like all that kind of stuff. And I think a part of that, like a little bit of that is healthy because it causes you to continue to challenge yourself and learn new things. But I've started to realize that I can still challenge myself and learn new things without kind of saying, why is this happening to begin with? So the less I do things like that, that's a big deal for me. And I feel more genuine in what I'm teaching and passing on to the next generation, because a huge, huge element of what we do is confidence building. So, go ahead.
I think that's amazing. The one thing I was going to jump in right there is, it's exactly why you need to measure your success, because oftentimes we don't realize how far we've come in whatever period of time it's been. And so when you measure it, you can look back and really realize the improvements you've made, which helps build that confidence. Because when you're working in the grind every single day, it's kind of like when you're trying to lose weight, right? A lot of times I say you're not going to see it in yourself. Other people will start to see it. They haven't seen you and like, hey, wow, you're looking thin, or you're looking buff, or whatever the situation is. And so tracking your success is key for that, to help build the confidence. I think that's a great point. So when you track your success, inevitably you're going to find some setbacks. We've looked at COVID-19, or talked about that and how that's caused some setbacks. When you're also looking at your peers and seeing maybe their success, how do you deal with some of that? When you know that you're struggling, because all businesses go through that time. When you're struggling and you're watching your peers have success, how do you continue to find that motivation to drive towards whatever definition of success you have? We'll start with you, Daniel.
Sure. That's a good question, and to be honest, I don't really think about that because I'm the only brewery consultant in Connecticut, so I don't really compare my my results or my performance to anyone, to be honest. So more so with like my friends in a social space rather than on a professional space. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really focus because it's such a, like you said, it's such a niche, and I don't really have anybody to compare it to other than me a year ago or me 2 years ago. So I don't really focus on that.
Well, and I guess, there's pros and cons, right? Because there necessarily isn't someone that you can model your business after and say, hey, well, they've reasonably achieved success doing this. If I do this, I should hopefully find success as well, which creates its own stress, having to be creative of how you're going to blaze your own trail here. But at the same time, also kind of doesn't put the shackles on you. One thing I think about is, you ever write on a holiday card or a birthday card, and your significant other or your sibling already wrote their message, and now all you could think of is what they wrote, and you're trying to come up with your own little message. And so sometimes not having somebody to compare to, not only because you found a niche in it of its, that should be a successful model because there isn't anybody else doing it, but also leaves you more creative. So I think that's great. How about for you, Jessica? Some time that you've struggled and seeing other peers maybe be successful. How do you navigate through that?
So for the tutoring aspect of what we do, I know that we take our approach it's very different than what other private tutors might be able to offer, just because of the scale of resources. As far as other, learning center establishments, we still do it so differently. And you know what? There's so many kids out there that need support, that if they're finding it somewhere else, then that's great for them. And if it's working for them, they're going to stay elsewhere. And if it's not, they're going to re-up their search for someone else that can provide the support that's best for that child's needs. And we're still going to be there if that search happens again. So I don't really worry about that so much. I will say that when I opened this space and had to pivot more to the retail component, which was supposed to be a passive thing. We're going to have a class, and I know all these great makers, and I want to support other small businesses and entrepreneurs in the area. Let's bring them in. Let's offer their wares. And when we have classes and guests, they can shop, and we can all benefit to not being able to offer the classes and be open more as a gift shop space. And that's outside the realm of what I've done before at the helm. And then when I do see other businesses opening up during the pandemic, and they have some sort of retail, probably, not quite what we're offering with all the handmade, but they're doing great, and we have all these customers coming in, and I'm not quite there yet. That is a little difficult for me. So in those instances, when I do have that doubt, I lean on other entrepreneurs. I lean on other small business owners, regardless of what industry they're in. We all have the same struggles at one point or another. So their input, their prior experience, and their current experience has really helped me to kind of shape my view on things and my understanding of where I am in my growth process because of what I'm offering versus where others might be. And without those connections to other entrepreneurs, other small businesses here, I would be a lot worse off. So it's a huge help.
I think those are a couple of great points. I mean, that's kind of exactly what our objective here is at the Connecticut Entrepreneurs Awards, is to be able to provide a place where entrepreneurs can come and get together and meet and connect with each other. Not only to learn from each other, but to motivate each other, to hold each other up, because like you said, we've all been there at some point in time. we all likely will be there again at some point in time as well. And, going at it alone or, a business partner, which could still feel like you're alone, you connect with other people, talk to people, even though maybe it, might be most comfortable to just stay at home. Get out there, talk to somebody about it, and it really can be motivating. So I think that's great. And if there's anybody that's joining, I'm sure that you guys would be happy to, share your experiences and help motivate others as well, because you've been there. So I have another quick question. We're about to wrap up here in a couple minutes, but a quick one for you, Daniel. When you've got somebody who's maybe a prospective client and you want to take them on, but maybe it doesn't fit your business model, how do you tackle that situation? Because you might want to take on the client, but know that it maybe isn't exactly what you're looking for. Maybe it could lead you to what you're looking for, but do you still take them on, and how do you approach that?
Good question. I think to that point, it's really important to have other small businesses that are similar to what you do, or at a larger or smaller scale. Basically, to have referral partners at hand, ready all the time. So it's not like if you don't want to do business with somebody, you have a way to explain it to them where, oh, you're not really a fit for my business, but my friends at XYZ agency over here specialize in blah, 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 whatever it may be. So I think it's really important to sort of form somewhat of a circle of other businesses that you're working with that you can at least attempt to move some business to if you need to. And on the more difficult side of that, if it's somebody who's just not a fit for you for whatever reason, ethical, or you kind of have to have the you got to be able to tell them. You got to be able to, like, I'm not, this isn't fit for my business, this isn't right for my business, sorry, I can't help you. And being in the infancy stage of your business, that's really hard to do because you need the new clients, you need to grow your business. But I sort of learned that the hard way from maybe some people that I shouldn't have in the beginning, or not negotiating prices as well as I should have in the beginning, just because I'm trying to grow my business as quickly as possible. So those are the things that I'm glad I learned in year 1 and 2 that I can apply to years 4, 5, 6, and however many I have left.
It's something that I think a lot of business owners struggle with. You find yourself, it's a good thing, right? They want to work with you, and you want that to take on that business to see maybe your monetary success numbers grow, but you know that it might not lead to that long-term success by kind of breaking
you can
your business.
Open up liabilities that way too if you're not, especially in my business, focused on accounting and compliance. I work with the IRS, I work with the Department of Revenue in Connecticut. I have a very clean-cut business. I need to maintain that, or people won't trust me. So yeah, that's that.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you both joining. We're just about 1 minute till we wrap up here. So we've actually got an intermission coming up next. So we've got about a 15-minute break, and we're going to be coming back at 5:45 to the Wander Me. So if you need that link, certainly shoot any of us a note. We'll be happy to provide it for you. And then the awards at 6.
Yeah, and the link's in the chat so that everybody knows for Wander Me. Plus, you could just go to the agenda on Excel events and access the link for Wander Me as well. So yeah, and the awards formally start at 6:30, the networking rally at 5:45. So take 15 minutes, stretch your legs, use the restroom, get a drink, anything like that. But awesome job. This was really great content. I was sorry Athena couldn't make it, but you guys really, there was really good information.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me.
Well, thank
All
you.
right. Thank you guys. We'll see you in 15 minutes.
Bye.
Bye now.